last Monday, we are actually learning about the newer approaches in drug discovery and in clinical trial. So what are the challenges and how you may discover a new drug molecule, etc. etc. So today I'm going to tell you about how can you use the machine learning and virtual reality in drug discovery. So before starting a presentation, I want to thank our Honorable Director Sir for giving me the opportunity to encourage you, motivate you, and train you about the newer technology like machine learning and virtual reality. I also want to thank our Honorable Dean Ma'am, Dr. Rupa Majumdar Ma'am, who actually always encourage me, support me to learn new things and to implement such new technology in our institution. And I also want to thank my previous speakers, Dr. Salahuddin sir and Dr. Sanjita Das ma'am, who already given a lots of insights to you about the discovery and clinical trial approaches. So today, I will tell you that how you can use the machine learning and virtual reality in drug discovery. I will also tell you about the background, the history, how today in 21st century, when we are learning this thing, how it has evolved. And in future, how you can also discover a new drug molecule. So let me start. So today I will discuss in 5 different aspects. I will first tell you what is drug, about everything about the drug, all the various medicinal systems, all the various approaches, and what are the development was happened since till now. I will also tell you what are the challenges in drug discovery. You are a student of M-Pharma, so you might be learning QSCR, pharmacophore, structure-based drug designing. In pharmacology, you might be also learning the various assay-based screening. In pharmaceutics, you might be learning about formulation development. Present day, when we have a lots of technology, but still we have a lots of challenges. So I will tell you in part 2 about the challenges in drug discovery, and I will also tell the basics of machine learning, because if I start the discussion without telling you the basics of machine learning, it will be very much difficult for you to understand. I will also tell you how you can solve the problem, the challenges in present generation. How can you solve those problems with machine learning? Okay, in my fourth segment, AI and machine learning. In fifth segment, I will tell you and I will show you very interesting some videos where nowadays scientists are using virtual reality in drug discovery. Okay, so these are the 5 different, that is a pillar or 5 different areas where I'm going to discuss. So let me start with the first part, that is what is drug. So what is drug? So if I tell you definition or any of the simple term in simple online, I can tell you that a drug is a substance that causes change in an organism's physiology or psychology when it is consumed. But according to pharmacology, the definition is slightly different. According to pharmacology, a drug is a chemical substance which administered to a living organism produce a biological effect. Okay, but when we learn about all the subject, entire that is entire pharma or biotech, in overall term, we can tell a drug is a chemical substance used to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose a disease or to promote well-being. Can you imagine? So I have only listed 3 different definition, but believe me, my dear students, there are total 15 definitions are available of drug. Okay, so if bioinformatics people, they always tell the substance which are following Lipinski rule of 5. We may call them as a drug. Some people may tell this those molecules are actually following the Muge rule, Egan rule. They we shall call them as a drug. Okay, so there are lots of definitions and there are lots of variations are also available. If you just focus on the first part, that psychology, okay, or psychology, when it will that is a change in organisms, physiology or psychology, they are actually trying to that is a tell you about the narcotics. Okay, according to narcotics, that is a Narcotic and Psychotropic Act, there is a different definition. So there are a huge amount of definition. In nutshell, we are learning drug in such a context that we may cure or prevent or diagnose a disease, or we can also promote the well-being. Okay, so what should be from where we may get those drugs? Since the beginning of our civilization, we are highly dependent on our nature. There are lots of drugs are available since the beginning of civilization, which actually originate from nature. But with the advancement of chemistry and our combinatorial chemistry, we got to know we are successful in synthesis of our various drug molecules. Methoxamine and your that is mepridine. These are few examples of synthetic drugs. But after some time in 21st century, we are so much capable to make natural derivatives. Here you are actually using natural product, and we are also combining with synthetic approaches. Okay, atropine, bromide, and you like penicillin substrates. These are from our natural derivatives. So for your understanding, you can follow any of those approaches. You can follow any of the sources. But my dear students, I will suggest nowadays in 21st century, we are so much focused on synthetic drug molecule. Okay, we are not going for nature. We will identify a molecule which is from nature. Okay, we will identify a molecule which is actually from nature, but we shall synthesis that molecule in our lab, because if we just take the natural sources, what will happen? The problem will be we have to cut, we have to that is a sacrifice, or we have to take those fruits or those medicinal plant derivatives or plant extract, or we have to cut lots of trees. Okay, you might have seen that because of during COVID-19, what are the vaccines are being produced, and lots of vaccines are actually that is taken from some sea animal. Okay, so that's why these are various sources. So you should follow the nature. Why? Because if some molecule is available in nature since the beginning of our civilization, so that molecule might be not harmful. But if we synthesize a molecule in a lab, it might be harmful. Why? Because the things what is already available in nature, it is actually it has not created any kind of that much of side effect, that much of problem to our nature. Okay, that's why it is available. Otherwise, our animal civilization, our people, they were supposed to get mutate, because our human history almost more than 10,000 to 10 million years old, right? So that's why these are various sources. So when you will discover, when you will have plan, you should think in such a manner. Your focus should be natural product, but you should try to synthesize that product in your lab. Okay, so what should be quality of a good product or good drug? First of all, it should be safe. You might be observing that lots of drug molecule that is or various your vaccines, they are showing some side effects because they are not safe. Okay, you might have seen that Pfizer vaccine, it has created lots of problem. So such problems should not be arise with your drug molecule. It should show very high efficacy. It should not show any kind of adverse reaction, and it should be free from any kind of side effects. It should show effective ADME properties. ADME, all of you are aware, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. Okay, the drug should be absorbed in a very nice manner. It should be distributed in whole over your body. It should not be get metabolized in a very huge number, and it should be eliminated in your body in a very systematic way. It should be non-toxic. Okay, so now telling you about the some basic understanding about what is drug, from where you will get, let me take you some historical background. My dear students, you will be so happy and you will be so proud to hear that if we talk about drug, the root cause or the root of any of the history of drug is actually that is going from India. Okay, almost 4,000 years ago. In our India, when the entire world was not civilized, that time in India, our Indian those days Rishi, Muni or Gurus, they introduced very interesting that is a subject or book or scriptures. We call it as a Atharva Veda. All of you are remember, right? That is, we have four Vedas: Rig Ved, Sham Ved, Yajur Ved, and Atharva Ved. So, near about more than 4,000 years ago, our Indian gurus they introduced Atharva Veda, and Atharva Veda was actually related and it was completely dedicated to medicine. Okay, so after that, from Atharva Veda, they have more modified it, they have updated it, and they have introduced new knowledge on that. And after that, they have they introduced the Ayurveda. And after a long period of time, our Indian gurus, Munishi, or those that is a Ved and other the Rishi Munis, they have introduced some Charak Samhita, Sushruta Samhita. You might have remember those great people, those great our ancestors Charak and Shushrut. Okay, so through that, it was the first that is a study on drug in our entire human civilization, and it was from India. And our Ayurveda actually it is dealing with Vata, Pitta, Kapha. I will not go on that detail, but for your understanding, you should know that thing. But you might be thinking, sir, what happened today? If Ayurveda was originated from India, so why we are now relying on allopathy or modern medicine? My dear students, the problem is with our history. Almost 800 years ago, India was occupied by those foreign invaders like Muslim rulers. And after that, the English rulers, they invaded India. They introduced their medicinal system, like the that is Muslim rulers, that is Mughal and your Delhi Sultanate people, the slave dynasty. They introduced their medicinal system called Unani medicinal system. They neglected the good side of Ayurveda. Okay, and English people, they have introduced their English medicine system, that's modern medicine or allopathy, what we call it. So the study or the journey actually starting with from India. After that, after long some period of time, in Egypt, some people at Egypt, they have introduced Egyptian god of medicine, almost 2,600 years BC. And after that, traditional Chinese medicine was introduced in China, almost 400 BC. And after a long period of time, in Greece, another medicinal system was introduced called Unani medicine. See, Unani medicine was also popular in first century, but the problem was that it was not so much widely used. When Muslim rulers got their complete hegemony in all over Middle East and that Arab Peninsula, they used the knowledge of Unani. They popularized this thing with the new that is gurus or new researcher at that era. Okay, so Unani was actually mostly it was the knowledge that given by Hippocrates, Galen, and other people during that time. And after that, after many of years, in 1796, that is AD or CE, Common Era we call it, homeopathy was introduced. Where? In Germany. One scientist called Hennemann, he actually introduced homeopathy in Germany. And after long many years, not so much long many years, in 19th century, in England or Europe, we may call it as the modern medicine or allopathy, it was introduced. So this is not completely England because its root actually also associated with the Germany. Okay, but English rulers, they actually ruled all over the world and they introduced that medicinal system to all over the world. That's why it is actually called the originated from England. But this is England or Europe, and this is actually called as the modern medicine. Okay, so tell you modern medicine, or if I the background of our modern medicine, you will see that there are lots of that is segments. Okay, so before 18th century, the traditional medicine system was highly used. And after that is up to 1970, people are highly used serious on the serendipity. There is something called serendipity in drug discovery, accidental drug discovery. Okay, and people also used to follow the random screening. Randomly, they used to screen lots of molecules. Which molecule will show some therapeutic effect, they will call it as a drug. Okay, so students, I am getting some noise. Just let me mute. Excuse me for that interruption. There was some background noise. So these things was happening. So if I tell you in that time, in 1800 to 1970, aspirin was the first synthetic drug. Okay, Bayer was a pharmaceutical company. It was the first synthetic drug which was introduced in 1897. And after that, almost in 1906, FDA was formed. FDA means Food and Drug Administration. This is actually US based. So, sir, why you are telling us about the US FDA? Because FDA is the most credible and they have the most advanced technology that is as of now. Okay, and their journey was started in 1906. And after the advancement of FDA, now if FDA is approving any drug, it is actually taken worldwide as a benchmark. So that's why learning of FDA, how FDA is working, this is very much important. And in everywhere, all over the world, you will see FDA is approving any drug molecule, people will take it. Okay, why? I will tell you a story of FDA, how FDA was successful to stop a big tragedy in United States. Now, after that, the credibility of FDA was increased a lot. Now, what happened next? After that, in 1928, a very interesting incident was happened when all of you might be know about this person, this great scientist in our that is 20th century called Alexander Fleming. He discovered accidentally. Okay, he accidentally discovered penicillin. Okay, here is and after it was the first antibiotic in our entire human civilization. Can you imagine? Here is the that is one ad of penicillin of that time, and you can see he is doing some research. I have a very interesting video. Let me play you. Yeah. So he was actually from Europe, and he actually went for vacation during that time. Okay, so there are some research work was going on in his lab with bacteria and penicillium, which is a fungus. So he went vacation. After that, when he has actually returned from his vacation, that winter vacation, he has seen that there are something suspicious things are happening in his lab. Okay, in his lab, there are something suspicious things are happening. The bacteria, what are supposed to grow there, it is actually not growing. He was actually working on some bacteria. So he realized that there are presence of penicillin. There are presence of penicillin, and in that penicillin, here is you can see the bacteria. The penicillin actually is secreting some that is a chemical which is actually not allowing the bacteria to grow. He recognized that thing. Now, why it is happening? Why penicillin is showing such kind of effect? He was so much curious about that, and after that, he got to know that there is something called peptidoglycan in the cell wall of the bacteria. Okay, and when penicillin actually coming to the contact of your this bacteria, penicillin actually got suffered, and due to resist to this bacteria, the penicillin actually release one chemical called penicillium. Okay, and that substance, that chemical actually that is destroying the cell wall of the bacteria. So it was a great discovery at that time during the 1920. So after that, he has done more research. He has tried to understand how the effect is happening in human cell, etc., etc. In 1929, I think he has published one research paper, and Second World War was also broken. Lots of soldiers were also dying. So that time, for emergency use, people, the scientists, especially in US, they are actually using penicillium. Okay, after that, lots of people got also Nobel Prize because they have discovered the mechanism, and it was a great discovery at that time. So you can imagine it was discovered in serendipity, accidentally he have discovered. He went for a vacation, he returned from his home, and here in his lab, penicillin was there and bacteria was there. Because of the presence of your this thing called penicillium, it was not growing. Okay, so it was the one of the story of the accidental drug discovery or serendipity. So that's why you can see one of the famous cartoon of that time. After that, those days scientists were so much serious in serendipity and random screening. You can see his eyes are actually covered. He are trying to check all the various chemicals, which molecule will show any kind of effect. Okay, Dr. That is Arnold Murray. He is actually given a very interesting that is a quotation at that time. Okay, so that's Dr. Arnold Murray. He was conducting an experiment to the test theory that most great scientific discoveries were hit by an accident. Okay, but today we are so much clear that no, drugs will not discover accidentally. We can discover drugs by our own knowledge. That time it was accident. Okay, so he was so much serious. He was trying to probe that yes, accidentally I can discover. So let me tell you a few other stories. I want to tell you that why the credibility of FDA is so much, why entire world is so much serious about FDA. So there was a there was a very tragedy, a sad incident was happened in 1960. It was called as thalidomide tragedy. Thalidomide was a drug. It was used to give the, I think, pregnant women, and it was actually what they have claimed that it is actually helpful, for, safe, and a sounder. It actually used for sedation and sleep. Okay, but the problem was that when those pregnant ladies given birth of their child, their hand and you can see their legs, their limbs was not able to grow in that manner. And in later stage, you can see the same baby when she become at his that is a later age, his hands and his limbs were not properly developed. So it was called thalidomide, that is a tragedy. And here was one great, I forgot her name, one great, that is a leader or the chief of FDA who actually not approved thalidomide in US. Thalidomide was approved, I think, in Germany and even other European countries where this incident was happened. And that FDA chief, they have not approved that thalidomide in US because of the safety and efficacy data. So after that, when the tragedy was happened, entire world understood that yes, FDA is a great organization. FDA has the capability to work in a very scientific manner. They will not give approval to any ABCD drugs. Okay, that's why the FDA's credibility increased a lot. Now, after that, in 1969, all of you might be knowing him. He was a great person or great scientist in our computer drug design. His name is Cornwin Herman Hunch. Okay, he's also regarded as the father of QSA or computer-assisted molecule design because he has given the Hunch equation. He says the biological activity is the function of physicochemical property of the drug. Okay, he has derived this that is QSR equation, and after that, lots of experiment and lots of research and lots of that is a technological development happened in our computer-assisted drug design. Okay, so 1964, from when he was starting his research, another scientist called I think Fuji or Fujitsu, they were working, and in 1969 he has published his Hansch equation. And after that, he has become so popular, and still the date in machine learning also we are using his equation. Okay, so the next thing or next interesting thing is starting from 1970. So before 1970, people are so much serious about the random screening, serendipity, or earlier that they were so much happy with the traditional medicine. Whatever I have told you, the traditional Chinese medicine, Unani, etc., etc. Now, after 1970, when the protein and our human genome, the DNA structure was and protein structure was actually developed, the scientists were so much serious about the one drug, one target concept. Since then, the non-random screening or target-based screening was actually developed. Okay, so after some time in 1974, pharmacophore technology was came to the picture. The first software of pharmacophore it was MolPet, okay, which is actually you can use in your computer. That is in computer drug design. So MolPet was the first software for pharmacophore, and after that, lots of studies are actually till the date are happening on pharmacophore. And after that, since 1980, we are so much serious about the high throughput screening. You can see this kind of automatic machines. This kind of automatic machines, this will screen. Okay, less human intervention and more the machine intervention. This is called high throughput screening. And after that, in 1980, I think University of California and San Diego, I think, and that is those scientists, they have developed first molecular docking software called DOC. Right now we have a DOC6, the sixth version. So 1980, the first docking software was developed. After that, the Autodoc, Glide, FlexX, then your Autodoc Vina, Autodoc tools, these are actually came to the picture. SwissDoc. Okay, first docking software was actually DOC, only DOC, DOC. ID Kanchuj was the scientist who was actually developed. Okay, I'm getting some. Yeah, after that, the era of virtual screening has started. Virtual screening, very interesting. So right now, what today I'm going to tell you, I'll be more focused on the virtual screening because this is the latest technology. This is the latest way of discovering drug molecules. There are lots of success story of virtual screening based drug design. In my second session, I will tell you a few of the success stories of present days, that is virtual screening or target based screening based success story of virtual screening of target based screening, where we are actually using computer. Okay, 1990 it was actually started. And in 1991, the first research paper on machine learning was actually published. Okay, 1991. You can see it is the first page of that research paper. That is a neural network, a new method for solving chemical problem or just a passing phase. It was published in 1991. After that, we do not have that much of technological advancement. That's why there are not so much research paper was published since 1991. In 2018, in 2019, in 2021, there are lots of research paper nowadays are coming from machine learning based drug design. Okay, so this is the entire story. So let me focus on the virtual screening. So okay, so let me just interact with you people. So how you are understanding? Is it clear to you all, or I'm going so fast, students? You may just unmute and tell me. I'll be so happy to listen to you. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, great, great. So nice. So virtual scanning.
Vijay sir,
So
Vijay, I want to say something.
yeah, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Very nice. Go ahead. Very nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Very nicely presenting the things.
Okay, ma'am, you are also
Thank
here.
you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Which is very good presentation. Congratulations. Very nice presentation.
Good morning, ma'am. We are also great to see you all.
Good morning. Very good morning.
Really appreciable.
Ah.
Really appreciable.
Proceed. You can proceed now.
Please continue.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Yeah. So now let me tell you about the virtual scanning. So in virtual scanning, there are mostly two different methods: ligand based and structure based. In the previous sessions, I think on Monday, that is the HOD of our chemistry department, Dr. Salahuddin sir, already given you a good introduction about the ligand based and structure based drug design, how you can screen. Okay, so I will not go to that detail. I will just remind you what sir also given emphasis, or sir also given to you the understanding. Okay, so at what cases or at what scenario you will go or you will select these two approaches. So for ligand based drug design, when you will not have any 3D structure of the target, for example, this you can see this is on the protein, or you can call it as a receptor or target or whatever. Okay, when you will not have such kind of target, you shall proceed with the ligand based drug design. Okay, or when you will have the 3D structure of the ligand. And when you will have both the things, then you will be go for with the structure based drug design. So let me tell you one by one about the ligand based drug design. So you can see, yes, right now entire thing we will perform in our computer. Okay, entire thing will perform in our computer. So first you have to generate this thing called chemical library. Whatever the molecules today we have. You have water, you have carbon dioxide, monoxide, whatever the molecules you have, the entire world. Okay, probably 10 to the power 20 number of chemicals are available. Okay, all are not actually capable to become drug. So you can make the 3D structure of those molecules. In the previous sessions, Dr. Salahuddin sir already given you that how can you draw the 3D structure. You remember in the second session, sir has shown you during hands-on session that by using CAMSketch. Okay, you can draw. So right now we have lots of software by which we can also convert the IPEC name into 3D structure. We can convert smiles into 3D structure. Okay, so you can prepare, or otherwise you can also get the crystallographic 3D structure from various databases. Okay, so the first step is this thing. Then you can go for with your 2D, 1D or 2D QSR. Nowadays 3D QSR is so much popular. And yes, another thing actually called I have written this thing for twice. So I apologize for that. So there is something called 5D and 6D QSR. Okay, you can also check that whatever the molecules are actually studying, whether those molecules having drug-like properties or not. There is a lots of rules: Lipinski rule, Egan rule, Muge rule, Vogue rule, BBB rule, okay, CMC rule. There are lots of rules. You can apply those rules, whether your drug molecule having the drug likeness properties or not. Okay. Then if you are not so much interested with QSR, you can also use the pharmacophore mapping, pharmacophore based screening. Okay, and at last you can go for with the in silico ADME and toxicity prediction. Okay, and then you have to analyze the data, whatever the study you have done, you have to analyze the data. You will get some graphs and your other things, and based on that, you will be go for the further studies. Okay, so this is actually ligand based QSR. Okay, so these are the approaches. So either pharmacophore or either QSR, you can follow any of these approaches. Okay, now nowadays we are actually using machine learning on the QSR. I will tell you more in detail during my upcoming areas. Okay, so just you will learn. So this is something about the ligand based drug design. Now let me tell you the structure based drug design. So during my presentation, I have told you that target-based drug design or non-random screening. So structure-based drug design, this is the advanced or focused version of those old concept called target-based screening. Okay, so what we will do in this in this strategy? Here you will have to identify the drug target. Nowadays, system biology concept is so much popular. You can use analyze lots of various proteins, their function, their network analysis. Okay, so you can identify drug target, or there are other concepts also. I will tell you more in my upcoming slides. Okay, so and you can also that is develop the structure in your computer. Okay, then you have to predict the function of that protein. Then you have to also predict the structure of that protein. You have to also predict the structure of the protein. Okay, the 3D structure. If you already have the 3D structure, accepted structure, then it is so fine. You have to just refine it. Okay, then you may either follow the Farmakophore mapping, or okay, Farmakophore mapping actually is also coming under your structure-based drug design. There are lots of update, or there are lots of ways. One software I think called PharmaFit or Pharma using from whatever. I will tell you in my that is a second session. So you can use that software also. Okay. Then drug likeness again here is coming. Then molecular docking. Now docking is so much popular. Today I will try to give you some demo on how you can do molecular docking. Molecular docking actually is a tool or is a method by using which you can screen lots of molecule. Okay, and after screening, you may go for your ADME, toxicity prediction, then MD simulation, very important, molecular dynamic simulation. Recently, in 2017, there was a drug approved by FDA. I think its name is Relativity or something else, which is actually used for HIV. Okay, they actually developed this drug molecule through your anti-structure-based drug design, and they also done the MD simulation. Okay, my mentor, Dr. Girinath Pillai, he is actually nowadays started a podcast where he is actually sharing the stories. I will try to share the link where you can listen from him the stories. Okay, so he was mentioning about the MD simulation based that is discovery of HIV drug, and then you have to do data analysis. So when I say data analysis not only associated with your structure-based or ligand-based drug design. I think yesterday, Dr. Sanjita Das ma'am, who is the HOD of our pharmacology department, she has given you insights of clinical trial. Okay, so during clinical trial or during clinical research, what you will do? There are 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So you will get some data. You will be getting some data. That data should be analyzed. It should be processed in such a manner so that you can show that data to the FDA or the regulatory agency. Okay, for that you need the analysis. There are also software called SAS, SAS. Okay, nowadays SAS is so much popular. If you are so much serious, if you want to earn lots of money from this field, you may go for the clinical research, basically data analysis based clinical research. Okay, in India there are only few people or only few that is few trained that is people actually available. Okay, in India we have lots of there are lots of trained qualified data analytics based people are actually required. So you can also make your career in this field. There is a very good money, okay, or salary in this field. So this is about the structure based and ligand based drug design. Now there are 2 other methods. Okay, so there is something called de novo drug design. In this process, when you will have the 3D structure of the target and you do not have the 3D structure of the ligand, then you will go for the de novo or fragment based drug design. Okay, in de novo drug design, there are lots of segments. One is your fragment based drug design, where you actually growing the by adding the small molecules. Okay, so you can also follow this method. And if you do not have anything, you do not have the 3D structure, you do not have the ligand based, then you have to go to the old concept called high throughput virtual screening, high throughput screening, sorry, not virtual, high throughput screening or combinatorial chemistry or combinatorial drug design. Okay, you can see here I have not added anything. So because I do not have any 3D structure of the target or 3D structure of the ligand. Okay, so these are the 4 various methods. You can follow any of these various methods. Other methods are also available where you can just make some changes of the approved drug. and increase the that is efficacy. This is called that is isosterism in analog based drug design. These things are also available. But as I am discussing the machine learning approach, so I want to focus on this area. Okay, in another day I will discuss on the other approaches. So let me take to you the overall picture. So as of now, whatever I have told you, you are so much aware that all these things like identification of target, protein structure prediction, protein structure of that is a function and its structure prediction, QSR. Okay, nowadays we are using machine learning. Then your pharmacophore mapping, your drug likeness, then virtual scanning by molecular docking, in silico ADME property prediction, then MD simulation data analysis. All the things you can do by using a computer. Okay, so that's why nowadays computer-assisted drug design or computer-assisted drug development is so much popular. Okay, and you will see in future that there will be lots of people who will know this technology. See, what is the problem with our generation? The problem was that there are two kinds of software. One software which are actually freely available. You can download those things in free, and you can run on your that is a PC in your system, and you can use. There are softwares which are not free. These are actually paid, like your BioVia. Okay, they are giving Discovery Studio, Schrodinger, then your BioSolve. Okay, so there are paid softwares and there are free softwares. Free softwares are very easy to, very difficult to use because they are coming in the command line access, and you have to know the basic understanding of various scripting language or scripting based that is a programming language like Python, C, etc., etc. Okay, but if you go with the proprietary or the paid softwares, you will be not required that much of knowledge of the script or your various computational programs. Okay, so whatever your plan might be, so you can go according to that. But these are the latest technology. But there are some problems that are associated with our latest this technology also. Okay, I will tell you more in my upcoming slides that what are the problems that are associated with these technologies. Okay, so for example, if you just search in Google that molecular docking ADME screening, you will be getting millions of the that is published article. After COVID-19, when people are actually nowadays in their home and they have huge amount of time, they are just doing docking and ADME and other things, and they are publishing their research paper. But this research paper is actually only for publication. You cannot use that drug molecule for preclinical or clinical trial. It will be get failed. There are lots of reasons. I will tell you more in my upcoming slide. Okay, so let me take to you. Okay, I was telling you too much about the drug target. So let me try to focus on this area about the drug target, because in structure-based drug design or the modern approach, we are so much focused on the drug target. So what is a drug target? So a drug target is a molecule in the body, usually a protein, that is intrinsically associated with a particular phase process, and that could be addressed by a drug to produce a desirable therapeutic effect. Okay, so what will be the drug target? Like, for example, you can see like the receptor, your enzymes, your hormone, your nucleic acid, the nucleic receptor, or ion channels. Okay, so this is a general ribbon-based representation of the protein. So maximum proteins are actually our drug target. But yes, we are not only the protein, we are also targeting the other things also. But in maximum cases, in maximum that is area or maximum time, we are actually focusing on proteins. Okay, you might have remember in the second session of your first day in this workshop, our Dr. Salahuddin sir has shown you, he has I think taken to you, I think that server called RCSB protein database, you remember? So here sir told one student that you may tell any of the proteins name and then we will download. So what you have seen there, all the protein structures are actually available in that RCSB protein data bank. Okay, so nowadays, we are so much focusing on the protein data bank. We are downloading those structure. But yes, if we do not have the 3D structure of the protein, we have to that is design. We have to make the structure by homology or ab initio or thread-based method. Okay, but there are lots of limitation of homology-based protein modeling. But for our studies, you should try to focus on the whatever the structures are available on the that is PDB database, the X-ray crystallographic structures. Okay, I hope you can remember the second session where sir has take to you in that RCSB. So what next? So if you get the structure, Okay, so let me tell you more about the drug target. So what will be the ideal characteristics of a drug target? So you can get lots of protein, lots of 3D structure you can derive through X-ray crystallography. So how you can tell ki, yes, this will be a good drug target. Okay, so it should be relevant to the disease phenotype and it should be that is amenable to the therapeutic modulation. And a drug target should that is a good therapeutic window to assure that any therapeutic modality. Okay, and it will that is not cause any side effect by disrupting the physiological function of the target in the healthy tissue. And 3D structure of the drug target should be, at least it should be available to assess the drug availability. Okay, these are the various parameter of a good drug target. So how you will analyze? For that, you have to read the literature. Okay, you have to go through the literature, you have to see the literature, whether the drug target, when a scientist is publishing one research paper, he is mentioning that yes, this can be a drug target. You have to read whether that drug target will follow or will able to give you fulfilling all these parameters or not. Okay, at least the minimum first three parameters. Third one, we can also make the 3D structure of the protein by using homology modeling. Okay, so how you will get the drug target. So by the knowledge of genomics, proteomics, metabolomics, bioinformatics, pharmacogenomics, and system biology. Okay, these are modern days approaches. So being a student of pharmaceutical sciences, you should not be so much worried about these things. But if you are so much serious, so much dedicated to pharmacology, then I think you should be serious, because drug target identification, this is the first step in drug discovery. You have to discover the drug target, you have to validate also. Okay, so how we will do? First of all, for example, SARS-CoV-2. So how, for example, if I can remember, I think one student in that day's session of the Monday session, one student was saying to Salahuddin sir, sir, this is one drug target which was actually using for SARS-CoV-2. And anybody might be telling, I forgot the name of the student. So this is very good. I'm so much happy with your that kind of that is interest or knowledge. So how they got the drug target? Okay, SARS-CoV-2 was outbreak in last December 2019, right? After that, within 3 or 4 months, a lot of drug target came to the picture. RDRP, M-protease, then your ACE2 receptor, etc. etc. Lots of, I think, 29 drug targets are available. Okay, in various databases, 133 drug targets they have reported. But out of that, whatever the drugs are coming to the market, these are only 29 or 33 drug target based. So, for example, SARS-CoV-2, you will use the knowledge of genomics. You will take the genome of that particular organism. For example, this is a virus, SARS-CoV-2. You will take the genome, you will translate the genome to understand what are the proteins are actually being made. Okay, what are the 3D structure, what are the proteins can be made. Now in proteomics, I have told you protein function. You remember in my previous slide, I have told you about this protein structure prediction, protein function prediction. In proteomics, you will be able to understand that how a protein is functioning, whether this protein will be create some virulence or not, whether a protein will create some problem or not, whether this protein is associated with some immunological activity or not. Okay, based on proteomics, you'll be able to for example, you get near about 10,000 or 5,000 genome, that is genome sequences or genomic areas or such areas where you can get some target. So here you will be able to see, after doing the proteomic studies, only 100 to 200 areas will be there, or particular that is a segment will be there which can be taken for the further activities. Okay, then you may also use the knowledge of metabolomics, bioinformatics, and pharmacogenomics, very important, and then system biology. Okay, after coming to the system biology, here you will see the network, how various proteins are actually connected to each other through their function, through their structure, through their activity. How? If you disrupt any of the function, if you disrupt any of the activity of the protein, you will be able to see the further activities are not happening. Okay, so based on that, ultimately you will be able to conclude that yes, this protein can be useful. Okay, but yes, you also have to validate. So I am telling this thing only for pharmacology students, because the medicinal chemistry or chemistry based students are, I think they will not so much go in their future. Just a second, some explanation. Can you hear me, students? My Wi-Fi. Students, can you hear me? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. My Wi-Fi actually there was a sudden power cut in my area. Okay, so for pharmacology students, this is very important. Okay, so after getting the 3D structure, after getting the structure or after getting the target, you have to validate. You have to use the animal model. Okay, for example, mice model. Then you also have to express. You can also use the biomarker. Establish various models or that is a disease association with genetics in between any of the model you can follow or any of the approaches. Okay, you can use multiple approaches. I think our the HOD of ecology department that is our Dr. Sanchita Das ma'am can tell you more about this. Okay, so if you are in first year of your MPharm, in your second year, you may try to work or you may just learn this thing. Okay, this is the first step. If you may discover a drug target, you may validate. If you get to know, yes, this can after inhibiting or after activating or after that is down regulating or up regulating that protein, if we are able to minimize the activity of this disease, then it will be great achievement. Okay, so after getting the target or after completing complete understanding of the target, what next? The next activity will be that is to take your drug target to screen against a database. Okay, there are lots of databases are available. There are some databases called natural product database. There are some databases are actually available called synthetic database, or there are some databases. I think in last session of Monday, Dr. Salahuddin sir taken to you one database is called Papin database. You remember? Sir also taken to you. I think Zinc database also, if I can remember, and other database he also told you. So I was actually addressing those databases. Okay, so you can take lots of data molecules from those databases. So nowadays people are actually working more than 1 billion. Okay, more than 1 billion. Billion means 10 to the power 9. Okay, they are taking huge amounts of molecules with a drug target. They are trying to check that which drug molecule will bind very nicely, bind very properly with the that is a drug target. Okay, so after that they will be getting some hits. Those molecules will be bind very nicely. We'll call it as a hits. For example, out of 1 million, you're getting 10 millions of these chemical molecule, and then hit to leads. Hit to leads mean various drug likeness rules. Lipinski, Egan, Moge, all the various rules. There are other approaches, but mostly we are actually focusing hit to leads means those molecules will be able to show their lead likeness properties. Then lead optimization, ADME toxicity, consensus docking, MD simulation, and your other things are also coming here. So after that, you will go for the preclinical studies, then clinical studies. You can see the number is actually reducing, and then FDA approval. And lastly, you will get the only one molecules, and you will be like the winner. Yes, I got the molecule. Okay, so drug discovery is not a very simple task. People are actually losing their entire industry, their company. I know some people in US, they were working on a project. I think it was for anti-hypertensive drug. So they were so much serious. They followed all the protocols. They also did their preclinical studies, including rat, mice, dog, and your monkey. But when they enter to the clinical trial process, they have seen their drug actually showing some that is a renal dysfunction, because there is only one protein is available in human body which is not available in entire any kind of your mammalian that is a animal yeah. So this is a very complex process. This is not a very simple task. Earlier time when structure-based drug design or computer-assisted drug design was not there, that time people are actually used to follow enter this thing hits, leads, lead optimization in their lab. That time it used to take the 6.5 years. Okay, now we can do that thing within 1 year, and clinical trial also it will take some time, and FDA approval drug, yes, there will some time will be required, because FDA will not give approval to any ABCD drug. They will check the safety, efficacy, and their data. See, when you will give a drug, especially pharmaceutic students will know this very nicely, because there is we call it as API. Okay, I am also a teacher of pharmaceutics, so we call it as API. The drug whatever the drug, we call it as API, active pharmaceutical ingredient. We are actually mixing that API with some excipients. Then we make it in formulation. Okay, so FDA will also check the other constituents, whatever the formulations are made, ICS guidelines, its stability, its that is accelerated stability studies data, everything FDA will check. After that, they will check by using their artificial intelligence software, their various algorithm they have developed, and they will also check manually. After that, they will give the approval. Now you will be thinking that, sir, what happened to the remdesivir? Remdesivir is the FDA approved drug. So you are telling that almost this much of almost 15 years is required for drug discovery. So remdesivir is in the market. Coronavirus to last year one. How remdesivir got approval? You might be also thinking, or you might be also telling me that, sir, how recently that is DRDO developed that is a glucose-based drug molecule got approval. So my dear student, for that you have to understand here, whatever the activity, no, leads, lead optimization and preclinical studies, that thing are actually now it is minimized. Okay, within just 1 month, you can complete the up to lead optimization process in your computer. Okay, that's why our director sir, our dean ma'am, our all the faculty, our senior teachers, okay, they are actually happy to conduct this workshop to tell you that thing. Because by using computer, you can minimize the entire time period in a very short span of time. Within 1 month or 2 months, you can get some molecule by using your HPC called high performance computer. If you do the same activity in your computer, it will not possible. It will definitely take 8 to 9 years. But if you use HPC high performance computer, you can get within 1 month. For preclinical studies, it will take some time in present scenario. And after the clinical trial, whatever you have seen, lots of drugs are on the market after completing the 3 phases of clinical trial. Okay, so some molecules are actually in the market. They have not completed their various phases. For example, the vaccine called Sputnik 5. Okay, it was not actually completed its all the phases of the clinical trial. Okay, so after that they completed and now they got the approval. So okay, so how you can use your computer or computer approaches in these 3 parameters, in these 3 areas, hits, leads, and lead optimization. So here again, I am bringing to you my that is interesting that slide. So here is a computer. So identification of hits. To identification of hits, to identification of your hit molecule, you can use QSAR, pharmacophore mapping, or virtual scanning. Then hit to leads, you can also use the drug likeness. And for lead optimization, you can do consensus docking, your in silico based ADME prediction, your in silico toxicity prediction, MD simulation, and lastly data analysis. This is coming under the clinical studies, clinical data analysis. Okay, so you can do entire these things within a very short period of time. Okay, but there are some problems associated with various approaches because it will take some time in your computer. So that's why machine learning is actually got advanced. Okay. So what are the approved drugs or what is the status of approved drugs? Because sir, you are telling too much about FDA. So here is a very interesting chart you can see year-wise since 1993, how many drugs are actually being approved by FDA. So you can see the blue color thing, these are actually called BLA, biological entity, money vaccine and etc. thing. Okay, biological entity. NME, these things, new molecular entity. The biological entity, that is vaccine and your protein antibodies, these are actually big molecule. Its molecule will be so much bigger. Its size will be bigger. But your small molecule, that is drug, paracetamol, ibuprofen, whatever the things we are learning, the small molecule or the new molecular entities, their structure will be small. Okay, so you can see every year how many small molecules are actually approved by the FDA. So you can see earlier it was FDA has approved 48 number of molecules. Then it was reduced. Now slowly it is actually rising. Now at this scenario, now you might be thinking that, sir, you have told in your previous slides that since 1980 that software DOC was introduced, and since 1990 structure-based drug designs are actually so much people scientists are using. Then why the decline is happening? Why the decline is happening, and now why it is increasing after 2007? So the answer is, see, structure-based drug design was only for particular one target, one drug. Okay, you are targeting one molecule. In our human body, we have near about 20,000 genes. We are producing various near about 20,000 of your proteins, gene coding proteins. Okay, we have 20,000 of protein coding genes which are actually making the proteins. We are not actually checking whether those molecules will bind with the other targets or not. This is the one problem. Second thing, by using docking, you can also predict whether your drug molecule will bind properly or not. This is just a geometry based calculation. That time there was no ADME, there was no that much of toxicity based predicting softwares. Okay, bioavailability predicting softwares, and most importantly, that time there was no any software was available for computer aided formulation design. I told you, no, FDA will check the formulation because of the those pharmaceutical students. You will be learning in your future time. Right now, it is not in the part of syllabus. There is something called computer assisted formulation design. Right now, in there is one subject called CAD in pharmaceutics, MPharm, I think third semester or second semester also. Okay, drug delivery, computer drug delivery. There only delivery area is actually introduced, but not the formulation design. Okay, you can that is take your that is a API. You can take your excipients. You can mix both the thing. You can put entire the complex in a virtual biological environment. You can check the effect of temperature, the effect of pressure, other the heat, light, etc., etc. Everything after simulation it will give you the results. So that time those softwares was not developed, and most importantly, the advancement of 3G and 4G era. You can see after 2007, the 3G and 4G era is actually emerging. Due to that, lots of new softwares are actually developed. Nowadays, all the softwares are actually, maximum of the softwares actually web server based. Earlier time, it was not web server. The software used to come from the CD-ROM or CD. Okay, you have to take the buy purchase one CD. You have to take in your computer, then you have to run. So that problem was there in that earlier time. So nowadays, now we are actually not using that way. We are so much focusing on the our this thing called web server based various softwares. Okay, but yes, in 2016, only 15 molecules are actually approved by FDA. So what are the recent advancement? What are the recently approved FDA drugs? So if I tell you about the recent up to what is happening in 2021, these are the various molecules that are approved by this year. Okay, you can see here is one drug molecule which are actually used for which can be used for the HIV. So I always see pharmacy students are actually saying that, sir, how can we use, how can we discover drug molecule for HIV? Because common people are not aware how to discover drug molecule for HIV. Okay, HIV drugs already approved in I think 2007. In 2017, also one drug actually got approved, and this year another drug got approved by the FDA. So, what are the top pharma companies in over the world? So these are the top pharma companies. My dear student, I will suggest you will take one screenshot. Why? Because in future you should try to work on these companies. Your future aim should be to working on these companies, not in our common pharma companies. They are actually working in our pharma world in a very perfect and professional manner. Okay, so you can see the Roche, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, Novartis, AbbVie, that is Takeda, Bristol Myers, Sanofi, Amgen. Okay, these are our top pharma companies in this 2020. Okay, your future aim should be working on these companies. See, my dear students, very frankly, I'm telling you, if Sundar Pichai, you know Sundar Pichai, how many of you know Sundar Pichai? Just tell me, just raise your hands so that I can also understand how many of you are listening this lecture. How many of you are aware about Sundar Pichai? Okay, Vimal, Prashant, Anupam, Sunakshi. Okay. How many of you are aware about Sundar
Yes,
Pichai?
sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, you are aware. Fine, fine, very good. So you can imagine Sundar Pichai is an Indian, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, he is CEO of Alphabet, Chief
Yeah, very good,
Executive
very good, very good. Shabash.
Officer.
Yeah. So you can imagine if Sundar Pichai is an Indian and he can become the CEO of Alphabet, that is the Google parents company, then why you cannot at least work on these companies? You can also become the CEO, top scientist, top that is a project head of these companies. Hai. So your future aim should be to work with these companies, not to like, I do not want to name any company because I do not have any negativeness or I don't want to make any company. I have respect for everyone. Okay, but why I'm telling you? Because if you go these companies, you will be able to understand the state of the technology. What are the latest technologies are actually here? They are using that thing. Okay, so you will take one screenshot. I will also share in my Facebook page I have a Facebook page called Abhijit Sir, where I always share lots of information, scientific updates, and everything what is happening all over the world. Okay, I also share this slide in my page. You can also take this screenshot. You may try to work on these companies. In LinkedIn, you may follow those companies. You may see when the vacancies are coming. You may just send your CV. They will reject. Okay, rejection is a part of life. You should understand. Okay, so after telling about you the first part of my today's discussion, so is there any question? I have other four parts. So is there any question or anything you want to say or anything you want to discuss with me? Or is it getting, is it very, are you getting your interest or knowledge? तुम लोगों को अच्छा लग रहा है बच्चों?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let me start the second part of my today's discussion. The challenges in the drug discovery. See, there are lots of grand challenge problems are actually associated in our drug discovery. Now, what are the challenges? You see, I think in last year in June, okay, last year you can see last year in June, one news report was there that scientists found 28 new viruses, 28 new virus groups in the melting glacier. Okay, there are lots of viruses which are actually got entrapped in the glaciers when 15,000 years ago, 15,000 साल पहले आज से, because you might be aware about something called ice age. No, virus. What is virus? Virus is nothing, just few proteins with a nucleic acid. Okay, so that time during the ice age and when all the water got melted, some of the viruses got entrapped. This is not virus is not a living. When it will enter into your body, then it will replicate. It will be act like a living material. But when it will be out of your body, it will be not living. It is a non-living. Okay, so ice actually got entrapped in that glacier. Now, because of global warming, very many of the your ice are actually getting that is or the glaciers actually melting, and due to that, scientists has found 28 new virus groups which are actually not present, never reported in since the beginning of our the civilization. ऐसा virus देखा ही नहीं गया. So the news report actually I have taken from that is January that is 2020 last year की बात है, ठीक है? Now you might be worried about the SARS-CoV-2. So you can imagine the new viruses are also actually again coming and again created lots of problems. This news report are actually from the Tibet. Okay, you might be aware about Tibet in our northern area. So they got the samples from there and they have found this kind of scene. Right now in ICD databases, 30,000 diseases are actually reported in ICD databases. In other medias of the databases, scientists report that no, this is not 30,000. There are 10,000 diseases are available. But whatever, the highest number of diseases reported as of now, which is actually also supported by German government. This is this number is 30,000. Out of those 30,000, only 500 diseases can be curable with the modern this approach or whatever the drugs approved by FDA. Okay, now how many FDA approved drugs are available? Almost, that is 2023. This number might be also increased. It might be 22 or I don't know, the number slightly increased because every year FDA is approving new drugs. And how many vaccines are available? Only 46. After you this thing called the vaccine of SARS-CoV-2, I think the number will be slightly more, but there are very negligible number of drugs are available. So can you imagine in future if you want to fight with new viruses, you have lots of diseases are here which are not actually addressed, and you have only these weapons. Can you think, are we living in a safe world? So this is the first challenge in our drug discovery. Challenge number one, new diseases. Now, what is challenge number two? Challenge number two is the arduous and expensive. Drug discovery जो है ये कोई simple बात है नहीं. This is not a simple work. You have to spend money, you have to give time, and then you will be getting some molecule, but surety is very less. Okay, you can see from target validation, target selection validation, lead optimization, 3 phases of clinical trial. After submission, almost 1.8 billion rupees is actually dollar. 1.8 billion dollar you have to spend, and it will take more than 10 years. Okay, so this is not a simple task. This is not a simple process. Okay, that's why we need the machine learning and new technology. I will tell you more. Okay, I'm just trying to create the background so that you may understand and you may try to that is focus how or why we need these things. Then there is something called valley of death. Many of the drug molecules, it might be showing very good activity during the starting phases, like target identification, hits, leads. It might be showing very good activity. But at this area, at the transition time of preclinical development to your phase 1 clinical trial, lots of molecules will be get failed. They will not pass the criteria. They will be showing some side effects, they will be showing some toxicity, low ADME property, or any kind of problems, or any kind of adverse reaction. So, okay, so this is actually called in our scientific term called valley of death. This area, lots of molecules will be not able to pass. Now, what is the third challenge? Third challenge is clinical trial flops. Now, there is a very interesting movie recently got released called Radhe. How many of you watched? I don't know, because lots of memes are actually coming of Radhe. There are lots of flop movies, na? In Bollywood or in India, people are so much talking about the hits or flops of movies. But in our drug discovery world, in our drug discovery or pharmaceutical world, we are actually called flop. Flop means clinical trial flops. बहुत सारे molecules जो है, there are lots of molecules. It is actually not able to pass the clinical trial. So we call it as a flop. So you can imagine every year lots of molecules are actually not able to pass the clinical trial, and these are actually getting flop. And getting flop means wastage of money. Whatever the research, whatever the time they have spent since last 5 or 10 years, entire thing got wasted. SARS-CoV-2, lots of vaccines are actually not able to successful to pass the clinical trial. This is the data. These are the various molecules which are supposed to come to the market, but they got they actually flopped in the clinical trial. Here is a 15 in 2010 10 clinical trial flop was reported. In 2015 these are actually not 15, there are lots of other molecules. I have listed only 15. Okay, you should not be confused. There are lots of fails or flops in our that is in clinical trial in 2019 and 2018. These are the top. Actually, why I have listed this thing, I have listed because of these are the so much these are actually funded by top pharma companies like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. Okay, these are actually funded by top pharma companies. It was supposed to come to the market, but unfortunately, it was not successful. So this is a third challenge in front of you, that is clinical trial flop. Now, what is the fourth challenge? The fourth challenge already you can guess it. The problem is success rate. Successful new drug only one. If 10 molecules are actually on the clinical trial phase, only one will get. Okay, the success rate is very low, and you can see with passing of time, the amount of money, amount of that is a dollar, whatever the people are the funding agencies are giving, this is increasing, but still you are not getting the good results. Okay, out of 10, only one. Okay, so you can see probability of the success rate in phase 1 to launch. You can see only few. Okay, these are the approved drugs. Okay, these are number of approved drugs, and here you can see from phase 2, phase 3. These are the phase 2 to launch, phase 3 to launch. So this is the problem. And if I tell you more about the transition probability from phase 1 to phase 2, that is 59% will be not able to pass. What about the molecules are in phase 1 trial? In, for example, in clinical trial.gov, that database, if you see, it is almost probable that 59% molecules will be not able to pass. 39% molecules will be not able to pass the phase 2. 62% will fail in phase 3. And 90% will be failed to get their approval. Okay, only 11% or 10% molecules will be able to get pass. So this is a low problem, or this is a grand challenge in front of you as a young researcher, you as a young student. In future, if you can solve this problem, you will be definitely getting Nobel Prize. Okay. So challenge in front of you, a big challenge is called toxicity. You see, 30% of the lead molecules actually fail during that is a clinical trial or preclinical trial due to toxicity. Toxicity related to your human organ, long-term genomic toxicity or other toxicities. Okay, I told you, no, I known that person in that is California, US. They are working so nicely. I have seen their work and they are following all the protocols. But unfortunately, one protein was only present in human that is a renal system, which is not available in other mammalian, like monkey and other mammalian animal. Okay, they have tested everywhere, but when they have taken for the clinical trial in phase 1, it got create a problem of renal failure and it got that is banned. Their project was actually abandoned. Okay, then toxicity, environmental toxicity is a big challenge. Okay, so let me tell you more about the. Before that, there is something called drug recall. I think many of you might be so much interested about this thing called drug recall in pharmacovigilance. Okay, every year there are lots of molecules are actually FDA not allow them to function to sell in the market. They recall drug molecules because of the advancement of pharmacovigilance. They are checking your drug molecule is showing and going to adverse reaction or not. In India also nowadays pharmacovigilance field is so much emerging. Okay, you will also get some job in pharmacovigilance. So you can see since 2009, the number of drug recall is also increasing. So you have spent billions of dollars. You have given lots of time to discover a drug molecule. After that, you are seeing after getting the approval when it comes to the market, some people for a certain group of people, your drug molecule is showing some side effects. So what we will have to do? FDA will continuously send you the notice, and then you have to recall the drug molecule. You have to redesign. Okay, then you have to come to the market. Then you have to do entire all the phases again and again, and then you have to come to the market. So you might have seen Pfizer vaccine. The vaccine, it is actually creating the blood clot. Okay, so African people in Africa, whatever I have read, I don't know whether it is completely correct or not because I have read from a blog, not from a research paper. In African people, the melanin, the amount of melanin, the concentration of melanin in their skin is so high. So another substance is also present in the blood of African people. So when they take the Pfizer vaccine, their blood become clotting problem. In Europe, it was banned for some time. I don't know what they are existing right now. So this is a big problem of drug recall. Nimesulide, you might be observing, this is not much right now, not available in the market. Okay. Now these are the various reasons why drugs are actually recalled. Dietary supplements, injectable drugs, medical devices, painkillers, IV products, catheters, heart medication, and sterile compound products. Okay. So I have a lot more challenge. The biggest challenge for what nowadays people are actually serious, but it is not in the picture. This is called environmental impact. You might be knowing there is something called absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. After taking the drug, what will happen? You will be excreted the drug molecule. Where you will excrete the drug molecule? It will become to the nature. And जो भी तुम tablet capsule ले रहे हो, after taking that, it will ultimately come to the nature. So after coming to the nature, what will happen? What in your nature, ultimately it will go to the water bodies. In water bodies, there are phytoplankton, zooplankton, bacteria, viruses, your fungi. These are available. So there are chances your drug molecule, whatever you have taken, it might have got metabolized in your liver. Okay, and then whatever the metabolized actually came out from your body. When it will come to the nature, there are chances that metabolite might be harmful for a few of the phytoplankton or zooplankton or any of the marine species. Why? Because when you design the drug molecule, it might be not showing any kind of side effect in your body because you have done very nicely your studies. You have checked the drug bindness with all the human proteins. But there are proteins which are actually available in our nature. Okay, there are proteins which are available in the various fish or various phytoplankton, zooplankton. So the drug molecule or the metabolites might be going to bind to their proteins. So what will happen? They will suffer, and they will suffer for a certain period of time. After some time, they will make some mutation. That's the problem in our present world. So when lots of, see, for example, right now after COVID-19, all of we are using the hand sanitizer, all of we are taking remdesivir, all of we are taking the ashwagandha and other various substances. So what ultimately will happen? Ultimately, all the things will go to the sea, and the marine ecosystem, it will be get disturbed. It will be get that is highly impacted because of the high amount of the things we are actually that is throwing in our the sea. है ना, including this thing called plastic. We are throwing plastic in a very rapid manner. So this thing will be a big problem. Okay, during drug discovery, I am telling you because there will be some mutation will happen. Okay, and when mutation will be happen, then again they might be become so dangerous. They might be harmful for our human, and when they will come again to our that is nature, it might be affect to our entire food cycle and our energy cycle also. Okay, why your environmental impact is very much important. Okay, here I have a news reports of I think 2015 or 16. So pharmaceuticals in the environmental is a growing problem. Okay, drugs taken by human and animals find their way into river, lakes, and even drinking water can have devastating of the environment. Okay, so a study it was done on 2014 Global Review of Pharmaceuticals in Environment commissioned by the government of Germany. They have found 713 pharmaceuticals tested. They have tested and they have found out of those 713 pharmaceuticals, 631 are actually above than the detection level. Can you imagine? तुम्हारे घर में मान लो किसी ने गैस जो है छोड़ के चले गए, तुम्हारी मम्मी गलती से गैस छोड़ के चले गए. So what will happen? You will suffer, है ना? You will blame your mom why you have put it on. So we are actually doing same thing to the nature, to the phytoplankton, zooplanktons. So that's why the problems is not going to end. The problem is this. You can see right now we are here. Right now we are actually here. This is like a tsunami. You can see tsunami. Tsunami actually, when tsunami will come, the wave one by one, when the new waves will be coming, this will be more high and more dangerous. Right now we are COVID-19. Okay, the second wave is going on, and after that you will see one recession. See, all of you will be a shortage of money because the entire activity got stopped. Okay, production is stopped. So that's why recession will be there. And after that, you will be see the climate change problem. Climate change is real. Climate change is completely real. You have to understand. Climate change, because of the climate change, you already seen in the previous slides that new viruses are actually coming after melting of the glaciers. So when new viruses will come, when new mutation will be happen, what will happen ultimately? The biodiversity collapse. So my dear students, it's a very, very big challenge in front of us. We have to fight against this challenge if we want to sustain in this planet. Otherwise, Elon Musk is saying that we can go to Mars, but I don't know about the credibility of Elon Musk because the few days back he was promoting the Bitcoin. Now he is actually selling his all the Bitcoin. He is saying that no, I will exchange with Dogecoin. So we cannot that is rely, or we cannot believe that yes, our earth will be safe for us. Right now this pandemic is going on, the third wave is again coming, and after that you will see lots of wave. Trust me, my dear students, we are not in a very, very safe condition. So these are various challenges. So what are the solutions? So solution is here in your screen. Solution is AI and solution is machine learning. Okay, so I will tell more with you in my upcoming the three different parts about the machine learning and the solutions, how you can solve the present day's grand challenge problem, and how you can increase the productivity of your drug discovery in my third part. Okay, right now the time is 12:26. I think many of you will be go for your lunch and other thing. So in second session, I will discuss the remaining. So at what time I may start the second session? 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. You may suggest me. If you are so much interested, then I will be starting the session by 2 p.m. बता.
सर जब आपको सुटेबल हो.
So like poll करते. Let me. Okay. I am suitable with 2 p.m. Okay, because you see, I am not only interested to tell you about only this thing. I also interested to train you with some software and some basic demonstration also. So for that I need some time. Okay, so it will be good if you can come 2 p.m. But if you are tired or अच्छा, how was the lecture? कैसा लगा तुम लोगों को? You may just unmute and tell me. So, जो है, how was your experience? Are you got interested?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Very
it
nice
was
lecture
nice.
and interesting.
वेरी
Sir, it
इंटरेस्टिंग
is very
सर,
nice
and
काफी
very
नए
and
insight
knowledgeable.
पता चले जो हमें नहीं
Okay.
पता थे.
So your slides were very good.
Okay, okay, great, great. Thank you very much. Wow, you are making clear. Thank you. This is my achievement of the day. Your clappings and your other the reactions. So okay, Sakshi has given very nice reaction. Thank you, Sakshi. So I can also see Ranjit. Okay, so we meet at 2 p.m. Okay, 2 बजे जो है हम लोग मिलेंगे. I will change the timing of the schedule. So from 2 p.m. I will again start the discussion. I will start with this part. Okay, the basics of your machine learning. ओके मैं पूरा तुम लोगों को समझाऊंगा हाउ कैन बहुत ही सिंपल वे में बताऊंगा मैं. डोंट वरी, यू हैव नो नीड टू लर्न एनी कोड और एटसेट्रा अदर थिंग्स. सो दिस प्रोसेस विल एक्सेलरेट आवर ड्रग डिस्कवरी प्रोसेस. Okay, so we shall meet in that is 2 p.m. and we may discuss from machine learning how you can solve the grand challenge problems, and including very interesting thing. It is called this thing virtual that is virtual reality. Okay, very interesting this thing called virtual reality. हम लोग जो है वो भी जानेंगे. चलो, till then, God bless you all. See you at 2 p.m. Don't miss. You may also tell your other friends, those have actually missed this session. So we may they may also get to know the new things. So you may also inform your other friends, because I can see only 43 students have joined. So I should tell you more details in my upcoming session. So God bless you all. You may do your lunch. You may take some rest. You may enjoy, and after that we may meet at 2 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.